Yippee! My girl Yuzuha is back and she is still one of the most valuable supports in the game. But how do her weapon options look like? Should you still pull for her or her signature? And does she have any alternatives by now? Well, let's find out today, and let's talk about her kit and how she plays, her best weapons, disk drives and disk drive sets, her combos, her main substats, her teams and the Mindscapes, and lastly, let's also talk about her pros and cons. Welcome, I'm Rivenous, and this is your complete updated in-depth guide to Yuzuha. Yuzuha is a physical anomaly aftershock support, and the unfortunate reality is, by being an archetype-specific support, you will notice a massive difference between having her and, well, not having her. At least if you intend on playing anomaly, that is. Fortunately, however, today's video sponsor is here to help you out. LD Shop is a safe and reliable top-up site for your favorite games, such as zzzero, Honkai Star Rail, Withering Waves, or Genshin Impact. Created by LD Player, LD Shop offers you affordable prices, even up to 30% off, through official ways and does not require any account credentials. Your server and UID are enough. Spend over $80 and you get to claim an internet membership for free every month. LD Shop is trustworthy, provides a fast delivery within minutes, and as you can see by the huge amount of positive reviews, is also safe and reliable. To make sure you can safely acquire your new favorite agent and don't have to worry about losing the ugly 50-50, go and claim your deals directly today, before it is too late. So go directly to ldshop.gg using my link in the description or pinned comment and save money today. Use my link and you will receive a 15% off and a 5% off coupon. Thank you LD Shop for sponsoring this video. Let's begin with Yuzuha's unique resource called Sugar Points. It is, as per usual, indicated right below her HP bar, caps out at 6 stacks, and she begins combat with 3 stacks. Casting either her EX special or ultimate, and chain attack, defensive assist or on-field parry, one that later, will restore 2 and 1 points respectively. What exactly those points are used for and why they matter, we get to in a bit. Furthermore, upon hitting an enemy with either an EX special or her ultimate, Yuzuha will then grant a 15% damage bonus as well as a combat attack buff to the entire team, equal to 40% of her initial attack, capping out at 1200. We require 3000 attack in the stat screen to max this attack buff out, and that is fortunately not all too difficult. Furthermore, when paired with either another Spook Shack or Anomaly character, she will provide an up to 20% Anomaly and Disorder damage bonus as well, depending on her Anomaly Mastery, capping out at 200 AM. These 200 Anomaly Mastery are quite literally locked behind her signature W engine, but as we will see later, her signature is far from needed unless you wanna play Jane with Practice Perfection, more on that during the weapon section. This is Kama. Kama is very cute, might shoot you with his assault rifle or also throw hand grenades at you, but outside of that, his primary purpose is to give you Kaboom the cannon stacks passively. We also hold down her basic attack to enter a parry stance to, well, parry incoming attacks, including AoE attacks and also red flashes, which then allows us to follow up with one of her 2 assist follow-ups. But frankly, outside of some niche scenarios, such as during Fiend's intermission, this on-field parry will largely stay unused. So instead, let's talk about Yuzuha's hard candy shots and why her unique Sugar Points resource matters. When Yuzuha has Sugar Points, whenever another active character's attacks land a hit, Yuzuha will join in inactively on field, casting an aftershock attack and consuming 1 Sugar Point. This can only happen once every 8 seconds. So, why this matters? Well, we need to make a quick excursion to her EX special to understand this. Yuzuha features 2 EX specials. Well, arguably, it is somewhat the same as EX special, just one is faster and one is not. If we press her EX special right after an assist follow-up, quick assist or dodge counter, she will then use the quicker shortcut version, which also inflicts less anomaly, and that can be relevant in terms of dilution for physical-based anomaly teams such as Alice, Piper or Jane. Upon the attack's heavy hit, the enemy gains the sweet scare debuff and a quick assist to the next character is triggered. And said sweet scare debuff is exactly why her aftershock basics matter, so back to her basics. While an enemy is in the sweet scare state, again inflicted by her EX special or ultimate, they will take damage every second, and when said aftershock basic attack or her second assist follow-up hits an enemy in the sweet scare state, it will trigger an extra attack called Sugar Burst Sparkles Max, which deals some damage and also more importantly builds anomaly. Both the damage over time effect as well as this extra attack caused by her alternate assist follow-up or her aftershock will accumulate anomaly build-up. But this anomaly build-up is not taken into consideration in the damage formula when calculating anomaly damage. Additionally, both attacks' anomaly build-up is increased, and the anomaly they accumulate might not necessarily match her own element. When hitting an enemy with an attack of the same element as the controlled character for the very first time after applying the sweet scare state, both her DOT and her extra attack will change their element to the corresponding last element used. This can only happen once per application of the sweet scare state, and using her EX special or ultimate will reset the attribute of the sweet scare state. This sounds honestly much more complicated than it actually is. To give an example, essentially this simply means if you were to use Miyabi's EX special after Yuzuha's EX special, Yuzuha's DOT and extra attack will now deal frost damage and also accumulate frost anomaly build-up. And because this build-up is actually a real element that she takes on, that also means that running ice damage in slot 5 would increase the damage dealt by this attack. That is not actually worth doing, but I did want to mention it. Again, just an example, and this is also not really restricted to Miyabi, this works with every element and every single agent in the game. As already teased earlier, Yuzuha features 2 assist follow-ups, with one of them being better than the other. We can trigger the better assist follow-up by pressing her basic attack at the right moment, and because this assist follow-up can also trigger the follow-up attack in Sugar Burst Sparkles Max, we prefer to use this one if applicable. Lastly, both her chain and ultimate work as we would expect them to work, both triggering a quick assist, restoring 1 and 2 sugar points respectively, and also inflicting the sweet scare state upon enemies hit. Her ultimate will also additionally restore energy to the team. Let's finish her kit overview with her skill priority, since a lot of important factors, such as her increased anomaly build-up on her basics, the sweet scare debuff duration on her EX special, and the energy gain to the team from her ultimate, are just scattered throughout her kit, she is not necessarily a cheap investment. We want to focus on her core skill, basics and EX special first and foremost, then her chain and assist, and lastly dodge. Frankly, we can probably leave her dodge at level 1, and we do not need to invest absurd amounts into her assist follow-up either, but it does provide a good amount of days, which can be important for anomaly teams, so I would still recommend leveling her assist. Her gameplay boils down to parry if needed, press EX every 25 seconds to maintain Moonlight Lullaby, and also her ultimate whenever available, so we will skip the combo section. Let's instead talk about her weapons, because they are much more interesting. Yuzuha's best in slot weapon is not her signature anymore. Well, with nuance. Arguably, for most teams, given that you have sufficient AP substat rolls, Sunna's signature Thought Bob can perform at least evenly or possibly even slightly outperform Yuzuha's own signature. However, the worse your substats are, the better Yuzuha's own signature becomes. The breakpoint lies somewhere around 10 AP subs, give or take, depending on the team and deadly assault buffs. For Jane specifically, if you run her with Practice Perfection, you want Yuzuha's signature to make up for the lack of AP on her, which both her assault crit and also her flat combat attack buff rely on. When played within an Aria team, at least as of right now, Suna is likely to hold Thought Bomb, so Yuzua cannot hold this and she is better off with another weapon. For most people and teams however, and even more so if you have Suna signature, Yuzua does not need her sig and you will be fine using something else instead. Choose whatever you have available. Yuzua wants a 4-piece Moonlight Lullaby, and that is about it, for most teams that is. If you don't have a 4-piece Moonlight Lullaby for her yet, go and farm it, and as for the 2-piece, due to her core buffs scaling of her Anomaly Mastery, we are looking at the 2-piece Phaethon's Melody. That statement is also true when playing her in an Aria team with Suna and, well, Aria. Due to the double support composition setup, however, your Yuzua wants to hold a 4-piece Estful Voice here instead, and no, your Suna cannot hold it. Well, she can, but it is significantly worse. I will talk more about this in the Aria guide, as it is much more specific to Aria than to Yuzua, so a link is in the description here, you can check it out. Anomaly Proficiency in slot 4, Attack percent in slot 5, and a non-negotiable Anomaly Mastery in slot 6 are her best options. If you're short on attack and you need to hit the 3000 initial attack percent in slot 4 will do fine as well, with an AP main stat simply raising the team's damage potential by lowering her damage dilution for assaults in Jane, Alice or Piper teams. And because Yuzua actually has some pretty clear stat goals, I can talk about it. 171 Anomaly Mastery in the stat screen, about 3000 attack, and 200 or more Anomaly Proficiency are good to aim for. If you run Anomaly Proficiency in slot 4, aim for 270 or more Anomaly Proficiency in the stat screen. As per usual, higher is better. Yuzuha's Mindscapes are pretty freaking good. Her M1 allows you to start off combat with her EX special, reduces enemy all attribute res by 10%, and increases the maximum anomaly and disorder damage buff from her additional ability to 130% of the original value. Because her anomaly and disorder damage buffs depend on her Anomaly Mastery, and the maximum value being locked behind her signature, this Mindscape's potential plays in tandem with her signature. Yuzuha's M2 is, at least in my opinion, one of, if not the best Mindscape 2 in the game. However, the actual value of it will heavily depend on how you play. It provides up to 9, but usually 8 additional chain attacks to the team, which can have an honestly insane value. It helps Jane maintain her passion state by allowing her to re-enter passion every 20 seconds. It generates more resources for the likes of Vivian and Alice. It allows Bernice to basically instantly apply burn due to the massive inherent anomaly application on her chain attack. And of course it also generates massive amount of decibels, because, well, that is what chains mostly do. That is not even mentioning the increased anomaly build-up due to the now reduced cooldown of Hard Candy Shot, as well as the generic 15% damage bonus and anomaly build-up provided by this Mindscape. But again, the actual value will depend heavily on the team, the boss you fight, and most importantly also how you play. We don't talk about her M3, M4 and M5, and her M6 provides an up to 315% disorder MV, which is really just pretty good. Overall, I think a good stopping point is her Mindscape 2. I would prioritize her Mindscape 2 over her signature, but her signature is better than her M1 if you don't have Thought Bomb, and it also plays in tandem with it anyway. Yuzua is the best in slot support for all and every single anomaly team in the game. Or at least that is the case until Nangongyu releases probably, where she might or might not replace Yuzua and Aria teams. Well, probably she is, would be weird if not. But at least for now, she is the third best member for the new and shiny idol team with Suna and Aria. If you play this team, as already teased in the Suna guide, which you should check out if you haven't yet for more information on how to build Suna for this team, you want to run Impact in slot 6 on Suna and ideally also a 2-piece Shockstar Disco or King of the Summit. Doing so will allow this team to hit 3 stun windows, given you allocate your prairies appropriately that is, and turns out that having more stun windows is really good when your main DPS has a kit that is quite literally centered around having more stun windows. I'm gonna spare you my Yuzuha's Miyabi gameplay, but it also would be a very incomplete guide if I didn't mention this team, as Yuzuha's is Miyabi's best team, at least as long as the enemy is freezable, but it also is pretty hard to play. Yuzua is also the uncontested best support for the physical Vivian teams, and even more so absolutely a necessity for Alice, as Alice is unable to trigger assault while inactive, leading to a lot of wasted anomaly, which means Yuzua has to take that spot to trigger that. The Mindscape-heavy Mindscape 2 monophysical team stays as being one of the strongest teams in the game, being able to match the performance of full M6 teams. If you don't have YUZUHA, Nicole can take the spot here, but especially without Depth Shred heavy anomaly buffs, YUZUHA is yet again the primary choice here, and even more so at Mindscape 2 or higher. Yanagi Hypercarry is also still a thing and can still perform exceptionally well with YUZUHA and Vivian. Honestly, if you plan on playing Anomaly, and that team is not the idle team, YUZUHA is the closest to a must-pull on an account that you can have within Zenless. At this point, I also want to give an honorable mention to Grace and Bernice, who also profit massively from YUZUHA, but at least unfortunately for Bernice, Deadly Assault is still not very kind for her. But hey, at least Pompey is back and Shio is a thing. Pros and cons. Or mostly pros, because YUZUHA's cons are, well, rather limited. YUZUHA is still the best anomaly support in the game and close to being a must-have if you plan on playing anomaly teams. She does not need her signature, and even less if you have Thought Bob. Her Mindscapes are extremely good, with me personally considering her M2 to be the best Mindscape 2 in the game, and she fits in every single anomaly team. Actually, that is an understatement. She is basically needed in every single anomaly team that isn't the idle team, and that one is not yet fully obtainable because Nangong Yu is not yet released. Her investment is however a little bit more on the expensive side in terms of skill levels, and she does not really have any set choices. You will play a 4-piece Moonlight and a 2-piece Phaethons, and you will like it unless you play in the idle team, in which case you are gonna play a 4-piece Astral and a 2-piece Phaethons and you will like it. And with that, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment on why YUZUHA is best girl and whether or not you will pull for her or her weapon or get any Mindscapes, and of course, join the Discord. A special thanks to my YouTube and Patreon members who make this content possible. If you wish to support me, you will find a link to my Patreon in the description, or click the join button right below this video. And as always, I appreciate all of you and wish you a great day. Peace!